Hello and welcome to Bored and Confused, where I review shows based on two criteria. One, was I bored? Two, was I confused? Today's show is Beaches, the musical playing at the Majestic Theater on Broadway. Now, before I get into this very challenging new musical, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps me grow my audience and find other theater lovers who want to talk about what's going on in the New York theater scene. All right, so Beaches. This is going to be an off-the-cuff review. But so for those of you who don't like those, I'm going to just give you the lowdown really quick. The reason to see this show is the actors. The actors are good. Specifically, Jessica Vosk as the role of C.C. Bloom and Kelli Barrett as Birdie White. They're doing great work and working very hard to elevate this show. Also, if you like watching little kids on stage, little Birdie, played by Zaya Grace, and little Cece, played by Samantha Schwartz, are absolutely adorable. So that's the reason to go see this show. I always say there's a reason to see a show on Broadway, and this one, it is the actors. But there are a lot of problems with this show, and the main problems all are craft-based. This show struggles really in just about every aspect. So I don't like tearing down shows. I feel bad for the writers and all of the theater creators involved. So if you don't want to hear all of that, you've been warned. You can go buy your ticket for Beaches. There are $45 tickets at the box office, which is where I got my ticket. You do not need to pay more than $45. I got a ticket in the orchestra, row J, seat 10. It was a perfect seat. There's also a lottery for $49, and TDF has $60 tickets. But there's no reason to pay full price for this because people aren't buying tickets and you can get a great seat for very affordable. So if you want to see some good actors and singers doing a musical on Broadway, go score your $45 ticket at the box office. All right, now let's get into what is going to be a long ramble. When I try to avoid knowing too much about a show before I go into it. And I saw this after it opened. So I was working very hard to not read any of the critics. I was trying to keep an open mind. And I went up to buy my ticket and there was a woman in front of me and she asked the box office person, she said, "Oh, how's the show selling? Did it get a lot of great reviews?" And the box office person responded, "A lot of people are really enjoying the show." Which right there I knew it got bad reviews and it's not selling well. I didn't want to know that, but I knew that going in. So going in to see this show, I lowered my expectations very, very low. And let me tell you, those expectations were met. In fact, they were even exceeded. I actually had a little spark of hope when I sat down in the theater and I opened up my playbill and I saw that the music was by Mike Stoller of Lieber and Stoller. And I was like, well, he's a successful songwriter. And it's directed by Lonnie Price and Matt Cowart, who I don't really know as directors, but they are theater guys. I've seen them act in many things. I've seen Lonnie in many things. But you know, one thing I'm noticing about all of these people is that they're very old. And I'm old, and I want musicals to still be written by people who are older. I don't feel like a lot of times on Broadway, they always go, "Oh, we have to bring in young blood. We need 20-year-olds to write these shows." And it's because young people have like the new ideas. They have their pulse on what's going on. But I feel like older people can still write great musicals. Unfortunately, this show does not support that theory. So let's get into it. What did I know about this show going into it? I was aware of the movie. I'd never seen it. I had listened to songs from the soundtrack. I knew Wind Beneath My Wings. And I also knew the Otto Titsling section, which is a short musical segment about the invention of the brassiere. I remember it. I thought that section was very funny, and I was looking forward to that in the show. Oh, and I knew Bette Midler and Barbara Hershey were in the movie. And I knew the plot that it was about two friends, and one was a performer, and one of them gets sick, and then Bette Midler sings Wind Beneath My Wings, and everyone cries. That's what I knew. Let's do a little bit about the show's development first, because this is kind of fascinating. So, as I mentioned, Iris Raynor Dart wrote the book, and this is really her show. This is a one-person vanity project. I don't know. She had success with the book and the movie, so moving it to the stage does seem logical. But the issue I'm having, and I'm going to put it right out in the front, the reason this show is not good is because one person who owns the rights to it and who is in charge of everything is trying to write a musical when she does not have the skills to write a musical. There, I said it. I'm sorry. And I even read online that in college she worked with Stephen Schwartz at Carnegie Mellon and wrote some varsity musicals. But whatever she learned there, she has not held on to that over the past 40 or 50 years. Because the problem with this show is just the craft. And I'm going to say if it ain't on the page, it ain't on the stage. So let's focus on the part I love the most, the craft of writing a musical. A little more about the history, sorry I'm bouncing around, is this show actually had out-of-town productions in 2014 and 2015 at the Signature Theater in Arlington, Virginia, which is a very impressive venue, and at the Drury Lane Oak Brook in Chicago in 2015. At that time, the music was written by David Austin, but he was replaced after those productions, and now the sole credit is Mike Stoller of Lieber and Stoller. I don't even see a credit on here for the people who wrote Wind Beneath My Wings, because I know Mike Stoller did not write that. So that's a little troubling. They should be credited because the best song in the show is Wind Beneath My Wings. And they're not even credited. Okay. Whew. So the fact that they replaced the composer but maintained the book writer, the book and the lyrics are by Iris Rayner Dart. The book also credits Thom Thomas, but he died in like 2015. So this is her show. She essentially wrote the book and the lyrics for this show. And it frustrates me when you replace the composer when the composer is probably not the main problem. The main problem in this show is the book and the lyrics. Listening to the show, I would swear that she gave the lyrics to Mike Stoller and then he wrote music around them because they don't gel together. So this story travels from, I guess, like 1940s to the 1980s. Does it say in here? No, there's no scenes. And so this stretches many decades. And honestly, when we got into the 50s and the 60s, that's when I thought Mike Stoller's music and the grooves actually were really great. They just didn't fit with the lyrics. They just weren't well-crafted songs. You know, I'm not feeling too bad. I'm criticizing this show a lot, and I'm gonna really dig in, which I normally don't. And the reason I'm gonna dig in is because I feel like these people can handle it. Iris Rayner Dart, I'm sure, has enough money from her book and from the movie. I know Mike Stoller has enough money. Thom Thomas is dead, so we don't have to worry about him. And I think Rolani Price and Matt Cowart are okay. These people all have established careers, and I'm hoping that all of these investors are friends of Iris Rayner Dart, and they're all very wealthy. And let's be honest, the whole reason this show is on Broadway is because they want to get the Broadway stamp of approval, not even a stamp of approval, they just want to say, played on Broadway. This is a limited run. They're going to have their show on Broadway. They're going to then go off and have a tour. It's already scheduled. People who love the movie will go see this. They will license the show, and regional theaters who feel that Beaches will appear to their audience, their elderly female audience, which is the audience for musicals mostly, will come see the show. So I'm not worried about them financially. I think even if this bombs on Broadway, which it appears to be doing, the point wasn't to run on Broadway forever. The point was just to get the Broadway stamp. And they've got it now. So now they can go do their show and make all their money. So I feel okay tearing the show apart now because I've said I think it can handle it. I think it's going to do fine. So what is this show about, in case you don't know? So the plot follows these two young girls, Cece Bloom and Bertie White, who meet when they're, I guess, 7 or 8 years old on the beach in Atlantic City, somewhere in New Jersey. And they become fast friends, and then it follows their lives, their relationships with men, their struggles to achieve their career goals, their marriages, the falling apart of their marriages, a baby is born, and then ultimately one of them gets very sick, and they sing Wind Beneath My Wings. And it's a show about friendship over the ages, the ups and downs. So let's get into the criticisms. Here we go, buckle up. So this show is just a string of things that aren't working. Musically, lyrically, scenically, directorially, things just aren't working. They are confusing to me. They just don't make sense. And As I was watching the show, one of the first moments, let's just go through the show. The first moment is we've got Cece singing a forgettable song, but the groove was nice. Thank you, Mike Stoller. And this is supposed to be in the 1980s. She sings You Believe in Me. The character of Cece, as played by Jessica Vosk, she's not just playing Cece, she's playing Bette Midler playing Cece. And this is a very Bette Midler number, which she's got three beautiful women. It's like her mermaids. She's basically doing the Bette Midler show if Bette Midler had been given a variety show. And so she's singing this song, and then the song ends. She sounds great. Everything sounds great. The costumes are kind of chintzy, but the actors are good. The orchestra played it well. But then Cece tells us, the audience, she's speaking to the conductor, she's like, the trumpets weren't right. They weren't good. We're going to keep doing this till we get it right. And so I felt, okay, either she's an impossible diva who can never be pleased, because we just heard the song and it sounded great, at least musically, or second, you're gaslighting me. As a writer, you're wanting us to believe that there was something wrong with the music, even though there clearly wasn't. So right there, I don't trust the writers in this. You give me a song that doesn't establish the show, it's just a framing device, and you're lying to me. Then she gets a phone call and she has to rush back to her friend. We know where this is going. We know that someone's getting sick and die, so we already know where we're going. And then this framing device is so annoying because we understand how travel works. We understand that you leave a theater, you get a cab, you go to the airport, you get a plane ticket, then you maybe get another cab, and then you arrive at your destination. But they show us in between all the scenes, we see her putting on a coat and a hat so no one will recognize her because she's so famous. But then we see her, she throws off the hat and the coat so that a woman will give her ticket on this sold out flight. And then she does it again for the cab ride when there's a storm going on and no one can drive her. But then she goes, it's me, it's Cece. And they go, oh, we'll drive you. It's just this framing device that is repetitious, and it's just the same joke over and over again. And I understand why they did it is because the first 20 minutes of the show is two little girls on stage, and our star is Jessica Vosk, and she's not on stage, so they keep bringing her in between scenes. So then let's talk about the kids. They come on. Birdie seems to be lost from her parents. I don't know why this little girl is being allowed to walk alone on the beach, especially when we meet her mother, who is so controlling. But for some reason, she's lost on the beach. Cece discovers, she comes out from this, I guess she's under the boardwalk, but the set is just like a black box with these black, cheap curtains, and she just pulls the curtain back or something. This set does not impress me. It's just like a raised black platform, and then there's video projections on the back. Everything feels it's not up to Broadway level. All right, so we get little Birdie, adorable. She sings a song where she used these huge words in it, like quixotically is one of the lyrics. And I'm thinking, little kids don't sing like this. And then Cece rolls out from under the stage, and she's talking about she wants to show her dance routine and do a split in the sand, but she doesn't want to get sand in her crotch. And Birdie goes, what does crotch mean? And I'm like, girl, you just used the word quixotically correctly in a song, and you don't know what a crotch is? And it's not that crotch is always sexual. You can have a crotch at a tree. So later, we learned that Birdie actually has a really big vocabulary, but then I was like, but why don't you know the word crotch? I would understand if she said SOB or something very blue, that Birdie wouldn't know, because that's not something you're going to read in a book. But you're going to read the word crotch in a book. It's not that complicated of a word. All right, guys, if you want to stick with the rant, I've warned you. Okay, we're going to work our way through this show. So I feel like everything in the show is Hackneyed. Just from the very beginning, their little pinky swear, it's just so cliche. And this show just feels like a string of cliches. Cliches of the 70s, of free love, cliches of stars, backstage drama. It all just feels like we've heard this before, but much better. The jokes are really creaky. There's a lot of jokes about gay people. One of the ones that really stood out to me, she comes in with a hat with fruit, and she's like, this is the original hat that Carmen Miranda wore, but it's not as fruity as my audience. Something so dumb that I just wanted to groan. The audience was very polite, this audience of middle-aged women and their daughters. They laughed politely because it's clear where all the jokes are, because Jessica Vosk lets us know, because she's a good musical comedy actor. And I will say, some of the jokes did land. I did laugh a few times, but most of the jokes were just groan-inducing. Also, this beginning of the show, it goes on with these two kids for a very long time. And these kids are adorable. But They are kids. This is children's theater. And I love children's theater when it's adults performing for children, but when it's children performing for adults, if my child is not in the show, why am I watching it? So they're good, but you're very aware that they have been given line readings by the director, and they're standing the way, gesturing the way they're supposed to. They're doing all the things they have been told to do. It's cute, but I don't believe it. So I'm just waiting for these girls to grow up so we can bring the adults on. So, and there's a lot of whiplash in the show where it feels like they're trying to cram in these scenes from the book so they're at the end of Act 1, they're at this beach house. Both of them are now married, and the two women are reuniting after a long absence, and they're getting along famously. And then the men kind of look at that, and then they turn to each other and they sing this song that no straight men would ever sing, or gay men, or men, about, wow, it's amazing the relationship those two have. Why can't we have a relationship like that? This sounds like a song that a woman would like men to sing, but they will never sing unless you put them in your musical Beaches. So Iris, very good. You got men to say things that you want them to say, but they will never say. So just drawing attention to the author. And then seconds later in the same scene, they're fighting over stemware being cheap, and then out of nowhere, Cece reveals something she knows about Birdie that blows up her relationship. Now that she's blown up the relationship, then Birdie's husband makes a pass at Cece, and it just implodes their relationship. None of it it's just like so contrived. I will say though, there was one scene I liked, the Act 2 scene after they've been not talked for 4.5 years. Cece is a huge success now. She's backstage at a theater, and Birdie shows up, and Birdie basically says, I forgive you, Cece, and she's like, I don't need your forgiveness, and they have it out. That scene worked for me, because even as much as I didn't believe the fallout, I accepted the estrangement, and that scene worked. I was engaged for the first time in the show with that one scene, because both of the actors had their clear point of view. They were butting heads about it, and I was enjoying that fight. So that was good. But then we get right back to the whiplash, and we've got, once they make up, Cece and Birdie, Cece's like, I'm tired of showbiz. I'm going to move down and live with you in Florida and buy a house across the street. And Birdie's like, no, you're not. You're not going to do that. She's like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So then she does it, and then sings a song about it. And then the next scene, she's like, I got to go back to showbiz. I'm tired of this. So it's just like, why do we even have these two scenes? They negate each other. We go here, then we come right back. And Birdie was right. She's like, you don't want to do this. And she's like, I do. And then she doesn't. Hey, do you want to hear a pet peeve or just a little nitpick? You got to remember there's people in the orchestra who can actually see really close up. So when the little girls in one of those first scenes say, oh, let's go walk in the water. And they go, oh, you got to take off your shoes and your socks. But one is wearing fishnets and the other one is actually wearing tights as well. Why? I don't know. Why are these kids wearing tights? So then they're walking in the water in their tights. Just a nitpick. I get from the mezzanine, it probably looks like they're bare-legged. Well, not the fishnets. And then when the mother comes in to retrieve them, she walks basically into the water in her heels and drags her daughter out. It's just the little things, guys. And watching this show, it was constantly, if you would have given me an iPad, I would have just been writing down things that didn't make sense. Was there a dramaturg involved in the show? I don't think there was a dramaturg. I don't see how, if there was a dramaturg, it was wasted money, because clearly Iris did not listen to them. I don't see a dramaturg listed. I'll have to look more closely. It needed a dramaturg. It needed someone. The directors must have said, that doesn't make sense, Iris. And she was like, no one will notice. And Jennifer Rios is the choreographer, and I actually know Jennifer. I did a show with her a while back, and we got along really well. And so I say hi to her every so often. This is the main reason. Go support Jennifer Rios and her choreography of Beaches. There's not a lot, but there should be more. But go support Jennifer, and I'm going to see if I can get some behind-the-scenes scoop, because, gosh, this must have been a fascinating process of working with these people. Or maybe Iris just paid them, and they were like, sure, whatever you say, Iris. It's probably that. Iris is going to come for me. I can feel it already. All right, guys, this is such a ramble. What else? Costumes. Tracy Christensen, the costume designer, is creating costumes true to the period, but they're just not attractive costumes. In fact, the scene where they go to Florida, which is supposed to be Birdie's house, it's incredibly tacky, and then Cece comes in an even tackier outfit, and it's just not pleasant to look at. But it's not quite camp funny either. I mentioned the scene designed by James Noon. It's just not inspired at all. It's doing the very least. And let's talk about one expectation I had that I was disappointed. On the soundtrack, there's a sequence called Otto, Titsling, or The Discovery of the Brazier. And I always thought it was very funny. It's just like a 3 to 5 minute segment that tells you the whole history of the Brazier, and it's very crass. And I thought it was very funny. And honestly, that segment from the soundtrack was better written than this whole musical. I would rather watch a musical about the creation of the Brazier. But that's not in here, because it was written by another composer for the movie. And so instead, there's this song that Cece sings with her backup dancers where she's dressed in these kind of heart motif costumes. And we see 3 different scenes. And the costumes, I think the idea is that she's supposed to be moving up in the world, but the costumes change, but they don't really get any better. They feel kind of tacky. At the end, she's basically got her hair in the shape of a heart, and she's wearing a heart-shaped costume, and there's a reveal, and the skirt drops out, and she holds up a scepter, and I guess she's supposed to be the Queen of Hearts. But the song she's singing, I didn't understand why. She's not singing off with their heads, so why is she singing this? And this is basically what replaced the Otto Titsling number, so it's not really functioning in a clutch your pearls kind of way. So they kind of just threw that part out. Another issue I had is the ensemble for this is very small. It's something like 12 people, and half of the cast is little girls. You basically just have 2 guys who play the 2 husbands and play all these other roles. And sometimes there's one spot I actually got confused because Cece's mother plays this actor at this playhouse, and she's playing Peter Pan. And for a minute there, I thought it was Cece's mother because she's an actor. I thought she was putting on a different dialect to play Peter Pan, but no, it's just supposed to be another actor. And then the ages, adult Cece and her mother, so they didn't even put her in a gray wig. So you're like, this is mom and daughter? They look to be the same age, because they are. This was a moment in the show that really did not like it. So Birdie's mother is trying to set her up with this rich guy so that she can get married and continue their rich, waspy lives. But Birdie wants to go to school and become a lawyer and fight for civil rights and things, help the downtrodden. And she's rejected this guy repeatedly. And then we have this scene where he comes back into the scene momentarily. He says, oh, let's just have one drink with me. And she's like, fine, one drink. And he's like, well, let's finish the bottle. Then we cut to, she's getting married because she's pregnant. So I'm like, wait, she didn't like this guy. He raped her. This was a date rape. And it just glossed over it. This seems like a major moment in someone's life. And then, spoiler alert, like you can have any spoiler alerts in the show, later she miscarries and she still stays with him. And I guess it was a different time. I just didn't understand any of it. This is where someone would sing a song. You got raped, you had a miscarriage, you're with a man you don't love. Sing a song about that. But no, Cece's got a number with hearts that she has to do. And I gotta say, the lyrics for all the songs just felt cliche and not important. They're also just craft-wise, the lyrics just feel generic and they don't fit on the grooves of the songs. They're just not good songs. I gotta be honest, they're just not. And mainly I have an issue with the book and the lyrics. Iris. All right, by the time we got to the second act and Birdie was in a wheelchair and she was sick, I was wanting her to just roll herself into the ocean so that we could finish the show and that Cece could come out and sing Wind Beneath My Wings. But nope, they drag it out. Who's going to take care of her daughter, and how will they remember her? And then I wanted you to give her this ring. And so finally, Birdie dies, and we finally get the song Wind Beneath My Wings, which inexplicably they start with the little girl singing the first verse, and then the teenage version of Cece, which I didn't mention this, but the teenage versions of these women get one short, maybe 2-minute scene. And otherwise, they're not in the show. So there was no point to it. And the adult actors, Jessica and Kelli, they play these characters like at the beginning of college. So I don't need high school versions of them. That's what, 2 years difference. What? Because the magic of 3, the number 3. So Wind Beneath My Wings was weird that it started with the secondary characters and then they walk off stage and Cece sings it and then this little piece of the stage slides her slowly forward towards the front row of the audience. So little, so late, so not necessary. And honestly, she's singing Wind Beneath My Wings and I really was like, great song, but I didn't see how this woman was the wind beneath your wings. It seems like you guys were fighting a lot of the time and you were good friends, but when did she really support you? Did she give you money so that you could pursue your career? It felt like you were helping her more, helping her escape from her controlling mother, giving her a place to stay with you in this theater you were working in. I just didn't see how she was the wind beneath her wings, which really negated the whole point of the show in the first place. All right, so for those of you who have stuck along with this ridiculous review, I don't want to hear any complaints about this being too long or me being too mean or me just rambling along, because I warned you at the beginning of this video that that is what I was going to do. And if you are still here, that's on you. So let's wrap this up. Was I bored? Yes, I was so bored because I didn't care about these characters. I wasn't engaged in anything that was really going on the stage except the performances of these women. I loved hearing Jessica Vosk's voice, and Kelli Barrett's voice is excellent as well. Jessica's got a great belt. She's doing a great Cece Bette Midler impersonation. She's funny. Both of these women have elevated this material so much, but there's only so much you can do with this material. So whenever they were really on, those two characters, I was enjoying their performances, but I didn't care. So I did get bored at the end of the first act, into the second act. I just was like, can we get to intermission? Can I go home, please? Okay, was I confused? Throughout the show, confused by choices that were made constantly. In the book, in the lyrics, in the music, in the set design, in the costumes, in the lighting was, I don't even remember the lighting, in the direction, confused from start to finish. Not confused about what this show is about or why this show exists. That I understand. It's so that we can go on tour and make money from people who have nostalgia for the show. Okay, I think I already told you at the beginning of the show where to get your tickets. So go check out Beaches if you want to just dogpile with me. And hey, that can be fun. See the show, come on here, add the things that you found confusing and boring, and we can dogpile on this show because it's fun and because these are rich people and I think they're going to be okay and I think this show is going to do well. Gosh, am I a bad person? I am today. All right, thank you for watching this long ramble of a video. I hope you enjoyed my histrionics, and I look forward to talking to you about the next show, which is Ballisters, which was so good. And I'm so excited to do a review about something I loved. So come back for that. All right, bye.
Don't wanna drift away, wanna stay inside the play. Keep me engaged, keep me amused with what's in front of me. 'Cause I don't wanna be